first I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. It's really nice that you all made it. I want to thank the organizers of Kaleidoscope, Terry Dixon, everybody for, hey? Is this working? Okay, is that better? Or okay, all right. So I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. Mark Forsyth, obviously, Tara Dickinson, the coordinators, the volunteers, everybody who sort of took part in making this day possible. Thanks a lot for that. The story that I'm reading today, it's called Sepiac. It's set in northern British Columbia, small town, British Columbia, BC. Coquitlam. Less than 400 people in this town. Poos is so old that there's the population of Coquitlam is actually less than its local cemetery. And during the Second World War, believe it or not, American soldiers used to come down to Coquitlam along the Alaska Highway and steal poos juice, and they would just smuggle it up north. So yeah, that was kind of an interesting tidbit of information. Like I said, my story takes place during the mid-70s, the early 80s, where most children personally, witnessed many forms of hardships. But as children, we found a lot of very, interesting ways of getting through it. Is that us? That's not us? Okay. So I'm just going to get started with the story here. Okay. I'm having a sleepover with my two buddies, Jared and Darren. After a hard afternoon of eating refined sugar candy, wrestling like maniacs, and playing Buck Rogers, we still can't sleep. Even for Darren, our only white friend, that's saying something. His parents make him go to bed at 8 p.m. sharp, regardless if it's a holiday or not. Needless to say, it was a web of deceit that made this day possible. We just watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Our minds swim with extraterrestrial and paranormal possibilities. It's very late, and with Mom out drinking, she could be gone weeks. And all but one of my 6 siblings are, well, who knows where. So we quietly packed my knapsack so as not to wake my oldest sister, Deb. We bring along a flashlight, we bring along a blanket, thermos of hot tea loaded with sugar and cream, peanut butter and bannock sandwiches, some moose meat jerky, 3 tin mugs, and a pack of smokes I steal from my mom's nighty drawer. I make sure we can get back in through the cold storage room in the basement, and I lock the front door as we leave. The northern lights, they pulse a series of greens, whites, and yellows, streaking across the sky with their familiar popping and crackling. I tell the boys something my mom told me, how making loud noises and whistling makes them angry. Make them angry enough, they'll carry away to the other side. That's what Mom would say. Jared whispers, my mom told me it's the great ancestors communicating to us from the other side when we die. Just then the sky streaked a fire red. What does red mean? Darren squeaks. A kaleidoscope sky of red and yellow whips so bright the stars disappear. Anger, of course. Now shh. We look at Darren rolling her eyes, None of us dare whistle a tweet. We arrive at the field. We notice my neighbor Lorraine's dog is running about. The dog looks like a stout coyote, but faster than one. So we just call her Coyote. It's as simple as that. Her favorite prey is cars. I tell my friend last week that Albert Mustus's dad, he clocked Coyote running 40 miles an hour. 40 miles an hour! Jared watches Coyote. She's probably chasing mice, eh? Coyote whips by. Man, she's fast. Darren exclaims it. With a blanket out for midnight tea, under a clear, black, starlit night, we scan through a rainbow of colors looking for aliens and falling Russian satellites. Coyote settles in, so we give her some jerky to chew, while we ponder aliens in the spirit world. Well, as much as one can for 10-year-old. Coyote's ears perk up, smelling the air, giving a low bass growl, sensing something that we don't. Suddenly standing, pointing her nose off towards the forest, we see it. It's a faint glow, moving towards the tree line. Coyote gives chase, barking the whole way. The sky surges energetically. We decide to pack up and chase Coyote, but we quickly lose her in the bush. Eventually, the flashlight dies. but with the help of the bright glow above, we all find a trail we all know. Made over many years by Johnny Muskrat, an old Cree man who lives in the forest. It's his trail of least resistance. Johnny's the closest living thing to a full-blown native as a kid could find. He knows roots, mushrooms, and medicine too. He's a trapper, a hunter, and in the old ways. He knows where to find the sweetest meat and fishes with a net made of single. Small game with his bow and arrow, and big game with his Winchester. Jared says, my dad told me that when Johnny's parents died of the drink, he was brought up by his grandparents in a teepee. Some say he buried his mushroom and his coconut here. We're on the right trail as we approach. Smelling the fire from way back, it's not long before we run into his camp. And there's Johnny, whistling away to the northern lights, and coyotes with him. Peacefully saying, in his thick accent, come sit by the fire, boys. Warm yourselves. Advancing slowly, we find places to sit. The tin cups rattle as I take off the pack. And I blurt, hey, Mr. Muskrat, thanks for keeping coyote. He nods quietly and asks, what you got in the bag? Jared says, hot tea sweet with cream. Would you like some? Pulling out the thermos, I fill the mason jar. Johnny first, and we three share the rest. I throw another piece of jerky to Coyote and offer Johnny a sandwich. We all eat in silence to a crackling and popping fire. Smoke, ash, and sparks twist up, fading into a star-filled sky, veiled by bright northern lights that seem to crack, hum, and snap back at the fire. I open the cigarette pack and hand them out. Johnny first, then placing the pack beside him, like Uncle taught me. A long time passes, and then he speaks. We all walk in the path of the medicine wheel. Starting in the east, we move clockwise around the wheel through our stages of life. Childhood, young adult, adult, and elder. For many generations, my people have been moving clockwise with the sun. When Johnny's grandfather was a boy, he learned an ancient legend. There was this man and his son, and they were on a hunting trip. The men thought they could stretch the hunt, as they were having no luck. So they hunted late into the day, but still nothing, and only to become lost. The father pulled out his woodpecker drum, and has a smudge offering tobacco. Then the sepia came out so bright it lit the way to the trail. But the son, still angry over the bad hunt, loudly swearing as he walks, the father asks his boy, please stop making Sepiak angry. We risk being taken to the other side. Darren asks, Sepiak? Jared and I look at him. The Northern Lights. Johnny explains, Sepiak turned red and angry, and his son continued to curse the Creator for a poor hunt. The father got as low as he could, laying in a fetal position. He covered himself with his moose hide cloak. Pulling his smudge from his medicine pouch, cleansing himself, he smoked his pipe, praying, beating a small woodpecker drum. Holding up his medicine pouch, he continued to pray for some time. Finally, the boy stopped whistling, and Sepiak's color turned to greens and blues, showing the two men back to their camp. What happened next? Darren asked. A deadpan stare through tired eyes, Johnny explained. Sepiak took the boy 3 months after their hunting trip. The father's anger with the Creator over his loss became weather-beaten, forgiven by time by his ancestors. Johnny finishes. Sometimes you hear Sepiak, that crackle, pop-pop. That's the ancestors talking to the fire. It's been a long time since I told that story. I miss my mushroom. Told a good tale. The old man wipes tears from his face. Taking big sips of his tea, we say nothing for some time. Darren asks, Sepiak took your grandfather? No. Mushroom passed away in his teepee when I was a boy. But Sepiak reminds us we'll see our ancestors again. I take comfort in that, little warriors. Seeing the other side where I know my ancestors are. Jared asks, "Would you be angry with CPI?" "I know I'd be angry," Darren replied. Johnny looks up at the glowing sky. "Yes, maybe me too, anger, but anger will make you sick, like it did my mother and my father. And before grandfather passed away, he asked me to imagine spitting out all my hate, my anger, my sadness and jealousy. That way I don't get sick. So when anger and sickness took my mother and then my father, I spit out anger for a long time, being careful not to let it make me sick with sorrow." Jared asks, "You spit?" The Cree call themselves Nahil. It means to be balanced in the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual aspect of life. When the Hiawak is unbalanced or angry, we spit it out. We rid the bad, harbor no jealousy, respect the will of the Creator, and share it equally with our brothers and sisters. That's the Indian way. That's what grandfather would say. We sit for a long time. And while the fire warms our skin, the tea heats our bellies, the smoke from Johnny's sweetgrass smudge smells so good. Seabiak and the stars dance for us the whole time, as Johnny tells us the Indian way. We watch him pray, and he tells us that when the native man prays, the smoke from the tobacco and the smudge carry the words up to the Creator. But when the Hiawak worships his Creator, he stands, arms open up, wide, palms to the heavens, for the native man has no shame. There's a moment of silence, and then he tells us, "Rest, for even the youngest, strongest, bravest, most honorable warriors is best. Soon the sun will be up and the window will close. I must finish praying." Leaving what remains of the food and the tobacco, Coyote stays, as there's no moving her from Johnny's side. "She'll find her way home, guys. Don't worry about her." Darren waves. Johnny smiles, hugging Coyote, saying, "I think she's already found her way home, boys." Not a word said. Even though we want to say something, when getting home, the sky is betrayed by an imminent dawn. A glow from behind Bear Mountain fades the night sky. We sneak back through the basement window and fall asleep. 3 days later, I'm checking the mail and grabbing the local paper. I read the front page. Johnny Muskrat found dead at camp by hunters. I went on to report that he'd not been seen in town for his monthly supply run. The coroner's initial report said he'd been dead for almost a month. Forensics confirmed natural causes. I collapsed on the cold post office floor until I had the legs to walk home. Calling Jared and Darren to rush over to read the news themselves, we sit at the table. I gawk at them as they read the news. Then there's this anxious knock at the door. It's our neighbor Lorraine. She's asking my sister Deb, "Have you seen Coyote? She's been missing for 3 days."